There he is. Look at that truck.
Hey,
How you going?
good. Good. It's starting in the morning, so we're gonna head up the road here and see what we got with snow to deal with. We'll make it up with a snowmobile if we have to. And
Okay,
a little bit of a journey.
I'm excited.
So this is it. Pretty wooded view, huh?
I've got to say I'm pretty speechless. I was expecting it to be good, but this is as close to sort of alpine paradise as you can get, isn't it? Where would the snowpack be in winter?
On an average winter, it's about this high. You know, about 15 feet, 20-foot base, 5 meters, 6 meters. 2 years ago, the whole house got buried. Completely buried. It was actually a really bizarre experience. I came back from a trip and I walked up this hill and the house was gone. You know, I had to probe for the front door to find it. But it was amazing to have that. And you never know what's going to happen up here. That's the roughness of Donner Summit. It's just, you got to be ready for whatever.
Snowboarding is Mike's passion, and after turning his back on competitive riding, he headed for the backcountry with a sled and a truck. A few years later, Mike bought 40 acres of land in Tahoe and built this cabin in the backyard of where it all began.
I started snowboarding when I was 13. It was still like where when you would go to the resort and you wouldn't see a snowboarder really. If you did, you'd go over and talk to him and see what kind of board he was on. And the boards we started on were, you know, wood, fins, no high back, so it was exciting. I didn't really fit in the soccer team or the basketball team, so this was perfect. A different kind of sport for us that kind of stuck out.
Would you class yourself as the stereotypical kind of snowboard grommy rat?
I was the youngest probably in that group. It was a pretty fun group because we were, you could say, loud in a way, not welcome most places. Over time, it became something more that like, oh, this is maybe not going to go away. So it turned into being like, oh, you have to get certified to go on this lift. And I think the biggest problem is the visual of how everybody looked coming into the mountains, because everyone was so used to the certain tradition that skiing has always had. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of room for something different right then.
Shaved heads, dyed hair, baggy pants.
Just, you know, it's the unique people in schools that didn't fit. And this was our new home.
Wow.
Warm day in here.
It must be incredible just watching that much power pounding the land and just kind of sitting hunkered down.
It's pretty fun.
I can't quite get my head around it. It is your kind of dream scenario, isn't it?
It's, you know, it's one of those things that I've learned a lot about what I actually need to live. Because I've lived in a big house before, and you know, I lived in my car for a couple of years, and you know, this is really, I spend most of my time outside in the daytime, and so this is my sizing of, you know, what I think I need.
It's like one of the best picture frames you could ever build, I suppose, isn't it?
For me, it is. You know, it's what I've sat here and dreamed of as a kid, and at the same time brought in what this place has given me. I'm trying to work with that.
How long did you do the competition circuit for?
I started competing when I was 15, and I quit competing around 99, 2000.
On the international circuit, how many competitions do you reckon you did?
Oh, more than my body can handle. I mean, I remember some of the biggest years. I went to Europe 13 times, Japan 4 or 5 times, all within 12 months, just to non-stop something every weekend or every other weekend.
Wow. And was it a case of burnout at the end of it?
I think getting away from competition came from just realizing the sport was getting more and more structured, and realizing why I got into this and kept it in my life. What it was for is the creativity of it. You know, I really think that in a weird wording way that I snowboard, not exactly for the sport. I snowboard for what it brings around it.
The environment.
Yeah, just the ability to get creative with it, the ability to do something that maybe had not been done before. And competition took a lot of that away from me as it got bigger and bigger.
Mike was at the forefront of self-shooting technology, and he pioneered ways to shoot his riding without a crew, in the process pushing the boundaries of what could be done with a camera.
No photographer would let me jump with a $4,000 camera, you know. And for me,
not a surprise, is
the
it?
money part of life, you know, if there's something to do, just do it. The money part will figure itself out later. And so I went and spent $4,000 or $6,000 on a setup. I spent $200 for a cord this big, so I can, you know, connect a slave to fire the camera and figure out how to make things work. I did a lot of welding on tripods to mount the camera on my board and stuff, and it just was a space that no one was really willing to jump road gaps with a camera. And I've destroyed cameras. It took a few years for people to realize that it was a legit thing. You know, it
wasn't a gimmick.
Yeah, because some of my photos in the early years were a little odd. You know, like the helicopter drop thing I did was not exactly welcome as snowboarding. It was kind of like viewed as a publicity stunt. And a lot of that changed my way of speaking about it. All that work I started doing was very personal. And that's what I was after. I feel what I'm doing now is what I did the first day I started snowboarding. And it hasn't been easy to get where I'm at. It's been a huge struggle going from having sponsors like, you're not competing, we're out of here. And I was fine with that because I was willing to let it go on whatever level I had to find something new.
I suppose for you it was about being true to yourself.
Yeah, I try to take life with that always, you know, just to stay on my true path, not exactly what I'm influenced by what the world may think I'm supposed to do. So this is my version of a lift.
I thought the house was good. So what did you buy? Did you buy these frames? And
anything red down here is custom made of stuff I bought separate. But like the gearbox, the guide wheels, the towers, that came with it. And then like the chair I'm holding, different things I've built on my own, of down to like even the gripping of the cable is something I did because I'm using a different type of cable than what's out there. So that was some of the stuff I got to engineer myself. And it's a one-seater. There it is.
Hold on, off you go.
Yeah. The first time I rode it was so intense. Amazing. Riding a chairlift in my backyard. Yeah!
But no resort's complete without a Beast Basher. This is the crowning touch, isn't it?
Oh, this is my favorite toy. Once I got this, my whole life changed. You know, never touch a shovel since.
Is it? You obviously need a certain amount of snow to use it, but like you say, it must have changed the way you view the hill.
Oh, it's what I can do in the winter and the spring, just moving stuff around, and driving with carrying stuff, because everything else was with a snowmobile. And this, I can bring a welder up if I have something to fix, you know, temporarily, and just the amount I can cut a road where I can't even get up in the summertime.
It is one of the most spectacular playgrounds I think I've ever seen.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
It's definitely fun.